Bereishis for many more years.
Mitzvah Hashem. Bereishis bor Elokim. In the beginning, Elokim created. Boro. Eisha Shemayim V'Sa'oretz. The heaven and the earth. Bereishis. Omre B'Yitzchak lo Yitzorach L'Aschas HaTorah Ele V'Echod Shizeh Lochem Shi Mitzvah Rishon Shestav Bo Yisrael. We just had in Zosah Brocha, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Torah Tziv V'Lonu Moshe V'Roshor Kilas Yaakov. Now, why is the Torah referred to as Torah? What is the connotation of Torah? When we say a person is a Mored Derech, what does Mored Derech mean? He shows you the way. So if Torah is quantified as Torah, it teaches us a way of life. So where should the Torah begin? It's not a history book. It's a book of what? It's a code of law. It's a prescription of life. It's a prescription of life. So why does the Torah begin with the history of creation? That's Rabbi Yitzchak's question. Lo hoya tzorach l'haschil haTorah ele v'echod shel lochem shi mitzvah rishona shentav bo Yisrael. Matam posa Bereishis. Mishum koach masav higad lamo losis lam nachlos goyim. The reason why it starts with creation, Mesa Pasuk in Tilim, the power of his actions, he's telling to his people to give them the portion of the nations. I mean, I would ask a question. I mean, the question is not, what is Stefan Chodesh Elochem? So with Puravu. I mean, the mitzvah Puravu was given to Adam Rishon, right? Procreation. So procreation is a mitzvah no different than Chodesh Elochem. So what does he say? Why does it start with creation? It starts with Chodesh Elochem because that's the mitzvah that was given to Yisrael. Correct? There were mitzvahs before. There's the mitzvah of the Gid HaNosha. There's the mitzvah of Puravu. There's the mitzvah of Lo Tirtzoch. You're not permitted to murder. All these things. I mean, so why does he start specifically with the sanctification of the new moon? So I think the answer is that since the Torah begins and alludes to the fact, what's Bereishis? B'shvil Yisrael Shnik Bereishis, that the world was created specifically for Klal Yisrael, who are referred to as the chosen. Therefore, it should have begun with the mitzvahs which address their obligation. And everything else is what is totally secondary. Shim Yomru V'Sa'olam L'Yisrael Listim Atim, that the nation world will say to the Jews that they're thieves, or bandits, gangsters. Shekavashtem Artzos Shiva Amim, you captured the land of the 7 nations of Canaan. Him Omrim Lem Kol Ha'oretz Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're able to respond to say the whole world, all the land, the whole terrestrial level belongs to Hashem. Hu Bro U'Nesod L'Asher Yoshev Einov. He created and gave it to whoever he felt fit. B'Ritzono Nesono Lem, B'Ritzono Noto Behem. With his will he gave it, with his will he took it. U'Nesono Lonu. Just sort of something phenomenal. David, this is your type of insight. The Orach Chaim HaKodesh by the Meraglim says you should send spies to where? To Eretz Canaan that I'm giving to you. Remember? When the spies, the Meraglim was sent, so the Torah says, where are they going? They're going to Canaan. The land, where Hashem says, the land that I'm giving to you. I mean, it's totally superfluous. He's sending them to Canaan. And we know where they're going, because they originally had asked to go to scout out the land. So what does it have to say, Canaan, that I'm giving to you? So Alan is saying his own commentary, but I won't tell you what the Orach Chaim HaKodesh says. Okay? So the Orach Chaim HaKodesh explains that humanly, Canaan was not conquerable, because of the giants and the power of the nations. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I don't expect you to conquer it. I will make it conquerable by removing the giants, by destroying the nations, then you'll be able to occupy it. It's the equivalent of just occupying it. But I am giving it. And he explains it's like a benefactor says, I will deliver the property clear and free. There's not going to be any residence, no issues. It's there just for you to move in. Move in condition. Because the person who's receiving it, as he says, but how are you going to do it? It's not your issue. The gifter is giving it. God said, I am giving it to you. And if they would have fully grasped this, the whole issue with Meraglim would have never happened. They saw giants is not conquerable. It's not for you to conquer. Hashem will take care of it. But it's terrific now. What does it start with Bereishis? So Rabbi Yitzchak answers with the pasuk Nil Shim. Koach masav higid lamo losis lehem nachdos goyim. God created the world. Shim yomer u'masa olam v'shal listem atem. If we're going to be accused of being gangsters, shekabashim arsa shivamim. You conquered the land of the 7 nations of Canaan. We're going to say, who brov who nesad l'shay yoshvena. If He created, gave it to who He chose to give it to. B'ratzon l'nesan alem, b'ratzon not lehem. Through His will He gave it, through His will He took it. But we conquered it. The answer is we didn't conquer it. We just walked in. But how did we actually vacate the land? Humanly, it was impossible. It was Nisim Gluyim. It was revealed miracles. Yericho, how did Yericho fall? It was all miracles. So it's clear who Brom, who Nosna, who Loko. Which means the manner in which it was given to us, that humanly it was not conquerable, was to emphasize this point. That we should not be accused of being thieves and bandits and gangsters. Moshe, you hear the insight. It's terrific.
Well, one could ask the question.
Wait, I just want to get this point across. You'll ask the question in a second. Beritzona the Sonalem, Beritzona not Lamed. What do you mean, Beritzona not Lamed? We took it. Well, we said, He said. We don't believe you. It has nothing to do with believing us, but reality-wise, it's impossible to take it. So how did we take it? How was Canaan destroyed? How was Mitzrayim destroyed? Humanly, it was impossible to destroy it. We couldn't destroy it. With 210 years, we were slaves. Now, how do we go and now take over land which is with 7 nations? Impossible. There's only one answer. Who Nasana, who Loko, who Nosna, who Loko. Vinotla gave it to us. That's the answer. What do you say?
I was going to say, there was just this horrible, expected that this horrible vote by UNESCO. They announced that the Jews had any claim to the Shalim. That's what you're saying.
They changed it. They rewrite the book.
That's the problem. See, people have short memories if they only read history. Now, how do we take it? And that's why the history of the Torah is so important, that these nations were not conquerable. Story with Sisera. Sisera was impossible. The man had such strength. That's the story of Yoel. He had such strength. They fought the chariots. They had metal. All the people did not have metal. They had bronze. It was the Bronze Age over there. The chariots, the wheels had like knives on them. And when they would go, they would just shred everything. The Sisera was almost the equivalent of a giant. He never lost a battle. And the way he was defeated, the way his people were defeated, it's a miracle. Well, why all these miracles? Again, it's not us. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it, retrieved it, took it back, and gave it to us. That's the answer.
Because of the miracle that defeated them, that's how we...
No, that's how we occupied it. We didn't vacate them. The United States came in, they killed the Indians. Okay, so the reason why we put them on reservations, we took over, finished. And would you have a right to do such a thing to people? You're conquerors. We weren't conquerors. HaKadosh Baruch was the conqueror. He conquered. He says, now, please, you're welcome to move in. That's what happened with us.
So it's comparable to the Kriyas Yamsuf for the
But again, but it said, as a result, the nations have nothing to say. Exactly what he's answering, based on the Pasuk Tilim, Koach Masav Higid Lamo Losis Lem Nachos Goyim. Because otherwise they could accuse God being a thief. Right? So you have to know, He's the creator. He's the creator. He does what He wants. He gives and He takes, and that's the end of the story. I'm only bringing out, why did the conquest of Eretz Yisrael have to be only possible through a miracle? That's the point I'm making. Because if not, this is not evident. What Rabbi Yitzchak answered.
Yeah, what?
That He gives and He takes. He didn't take, we took.
The question I'm asking is, why did Hashem not give us Eretz Yisrael in the first place, without making it so difficult to be conquered?
That's what I'm asking, because otherwise we're going to be accused of being thieves.
No, but
if it was not occupied, why did we occupy
It was
that
occupied.
from
It
the
was.
beginning? From the beginning.
We weren't the people. There was no Jewish people initially, right? It was a whole. It was an involvement. It had to evolve. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, 70 families, Egypt, the whole story. Otherwise, we didn't exist as a people.
But it wasn't really a nice Gilui. It wasn't really just like the Kriyas Yamsuf.
No, it wasn't the same dimension, but it was clear. It was miracles. They were
Clear-
not
clear-
conquerable.
clear-
I mean, Og and Sichon, how did he defeat them? They were the protectors of Canaan, right?
So
They
was it-
sat on the walls. Did not only anybody cross that border.
So was it clear just to the Jewish people, or was it clear to the nations of the world?
Well, it was clear to the nations of the world. Don't you remember? Rochav, what did she say? Rochav was a prostitute. She said that all the kings would frequent her brothel, and she personally would service them. She said the rigidity of their organ was no longer the same after Kriyas Yamsuf, because they were so taken with fear, they lost hope. So they all understood when the Jews are coming, it's against God. It has nothing to do with us. It's impossible to stop them. And what the tzira, right? Whatever that insect was, that blinded them and caused them to die. It's unheard of. Or the story with the mountains coming together and crushing those that they're waiting in the caves to throw the boulders down on us. All this, every step of the way were miracles. They saw it. Today, people don't know. Now, there's the article. There was an article written after the Six-Day War. It was in the Reader's Digest those days. I used to read Reader's Digest. It was written by some name of Macintosh. This, it's the apple season. So Macintosh writes over there, he says, after the Six-Day War, he says, we know that the reason why the Israelis defeated all the Arab armies, it's not because it was revealed miracles. It's because they had a more sophisticated surprise attack, gave every reason. But he says, what do you think 1,000 years from now, looking back, what are they going to say? Like they said about Egypt, the 10 plagues, that's what we're going to say, that during the Six-Day War, it wasn't the sophistication and the readiness of the Air Force, the Army, but rather God intervened and it was revealed miracles. That's what we're going to say in 1,000 years. But we know the truth. And just as we know the truth now, the truth then was it's not miracle. That's the article he writes. Okay.
The truth is for us to realize it.
No, but I'm just telling what he's saying. He said the same thing. So what do they say? How did you conquer it? Of course, you went in, you conquered. You had a bunch of ancient, archaic people. These Jews, they come, they went, they took over, finished. And they what happened? It's very interesting. The way Israel was founded as a state, how did it happen? There were much of Arabs there who were not in any way civilized or had any type of education, a bunch of nomads, whatever it is. We come in, the Jews, and we stole it from them. That's what we did. Even if we bought certain parts of it, we fooled them. So as we fooled them now, and we took it now, we took it then. So the whole way we took the land actually creates a certain image in the minds of the world. What are we? Then, because it was after the Holocaust, they didn't say a word, the world. You know, the guilt conscience of the world allowed it to happen. Today, it could never happen. Impossible. Couldn't happen. The world would not allow it. But then, because the world had this world guilt, therefore they allowed it, even though the British couldn't care less. Right? They're just out of concentration camps. They're not letting them go in. You know? I mean, they were heartless, the British. But that's the way it is. So the same thing. It's only because when you see it's the Nes, it's the Yad Hashem, and it's not possible any other way, then the world says they have a right to be there. It's clear they're God's people. God put them in there. That's the beginning and end of the story. So really, this whole idea, you know, that Morris says in Ksubis, that there were a number of oaths taken that were never allowed to take Israel by force, to reconquer the land until Mashiach comes. We're not permitted. We took an oath not to do it. That's the reason why the Satmar Rebbe was so against Zionism, because it was conquered. Not conquered. It's more Ksubis.
Why?
Until Mashiach comes, we're not supposed to conquer it.
Why? What was the reason?
Because we're not supposed to be there. You want to be there as a citizen under somebody else's dominion, fine. But that you should establish a nation, Jewish nation without Mashiach, you're not permitted to do this until Mashiach comes.
That's where they get their.
That's the basis. But I'm saying again, but that establishing a state, create today, that's all the anti-Semitism. That's the basis. They said, look what they did, these Jews. They have no right to be there. How would they have a right to take the land? It's not theirs. So good, they made lies. These people weren't there themselves. Palestinians weren't there either. But it doesn't make it. But factually, we actually displaced the Arabs. That's what we did, to take over the country.
If it was a religious state, which was a religious state.
Also not. If, put it this way, if we would have bought, they would have said, you're welcome. We need the money, we're selling, no problem. It's through conquering. It was conquered. There was a war. Not that the war, we wouldn't have had it. We didn't buy it. There were certain parts that were bought. But they were still dictating the Arabs.
One of the principles of the early settlers is to buy every dunam of land.
But they weren't selling it. And you know where they sold the land? The Arabs. In malaria-infested swamps. They didn't sell it where they were. You know, where it was fertile and where it was disease-free. Where there was malaria, that's where they sold it. And plenty of Jews died because of this. They came and they drained the swamps, but till they had it in a position that it was livable, many Jews died. To be continued.